get here. Few of them, anyways. All right.
Awesome. There you go. Vibe. Boom. Yeah, Brooklyn is massive. Did you ever live out here, or were you always kind of like...
I lived in Sunset Park, Cobble Hill, and Bay Ridge.
And when were you... You're from Jersey originally, right?
Syracuse, New York.
Oh, Syracuse. Shit. See, I'll edit that out and make
Same.
myself sound smart. I was just... Yes, I was... It's been doing a bunch of these lately and mixing shit up. So... You're born early 70s? Late 60s?
1960.
Shit. You look a hell of a lot younger, man.
Yeah, 1960. Yeah, I came to music late though, so that's why I kind of, I don't know. I don't know what that means really, but.
So, you started playing trumpet?
Well, I came to trumpet late, yeah. I was playing music when I was a kid, as long as I can remember, piano and guitar and trumpet too, but I didn't really start practicing the trumpet till I was about 22 and a half.
Hug up on that motherfucker.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Talk a little bit.
How's it now?
It's getting there, bro.
Oh, it's getting there.
Get
Oh.
in there, because you're soft-spoken, so I want to get the...
Okay.
Which is good. Stay soft-spoken. I just want to get the articulation of your voice.
All right.
So it's not all my loud fucking ass.
Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Perfect.
Okay.
You're in there.
All right.
You can back up a little bit.
Well, I don't know.
No, it's nice.
I'm not gonna touch it, but I just figured I'd get close.
All right, now we'll start. Yeah.
Now we'll start.
Yeah.
Like Kramer.
You're from Syracuse.
Like Kramer.
Yeah.
He's not gonna talk anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm from Syracuse.
Kramer ain't talking no more for sure.
Yeah, right. It's one of my favorites, man.
Oh, what? Hopefully not the video of Kramer at the comedy store.
No. It's talking Seinfeld now.
Oh yeah, is Seinfeld one of your big Seinfeld guy?
Yeah. I like watching them now actually because I just like feeling that vibe of New York of the '90s.
Right.
I used to watch The Odd Couple too because I used to like to watch. It's like New York in the early '70s, late '60s. I like the footage of New York City.
Right. Great theme music too.
Great theme music, yeah.
Yeah. Who wrote that? I need Kimmel here for that.
That's a good question, man. The Odd Couple. I don't know. It's probably somebody we would recognize. Yeah, right. I wonder if it was not Rosenblum, the drummer, but Dick Hyman. No, maybe not Dick Hyman, but somebody like in that like
Right.
New York kind of, yeah.
Kind of scene that
Like '60s Tin Pan Alley,
Right.
Group.
you have composers.
Yeah.
And so you're watching Seinfeld to try and like get back in the old.
Sometimes
Get back in the vibe.
Yeah, it's like a Jones almost. Like I watch an episode like, oh yeah, that's how this is the '90s, man.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, so when did you move to your?
'86.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you first lived in.
I moved into Cobble Hill. I was doing a show in Darien, Connecticut, Ain't Misbehaving,
Okay.
10 weeks, and so I bunkered in with a friend of mine that I met in Aruba before that because I went to Aruba before I moved to New York to play in a house band in a casino, but we got fired after 6 weeks. So I met some cats from New York, and so I moved in with one of them during that time. Then I got another gig with a chorus line, and I hooked up with a dancer out there, and so when I came back 4 months later from that, I had moved up to the Upper East Side with her. So I was out of Brooklyn like that.
You got out quick.
It's out quick, yeah.
You met a dancer, huh?
Yeah, we were together for a long time. Yeah.
And so then you were on the Upper East for.
I was on the Upper East Side for about 3 years in the early '90s, and then I just moved around, man. I came back out to Brooklyn for a while, moved into Queens for a while, and then finally, after like 3 or 4 years of that, like kind of bouncing around a couple different pads, I got a place on Thompson Street in the Village between.
dig it.
Yeah, so I was there for 12 years,
Tom,
and then that's where
where I was. Or
Thompson
M,
Street?
yeah.
Oh, really? And,
Yeah.
oh, how far down are you?
Spring and Broom.
Oh man, I used to get coffee. Well, there used to be a Puerto Rican coffee place, a little one, not the big one on Bleecker, but a little one right there by the tennis courts or the handball
Yes.
courts. Is it still there?
Well, the pizza spot is still there. On
Yeah,
the front.
yeah, but this used to be. Anyways, I used to walk my dog there every morning when it was warm. We used to hang out at the park.
Like
and,
next to the tennis courts.
yeah, and get a coffee. Yeah,
Yeah. Now it's a booze shop. I think.
yeah, it's probably but it was
This is a while ago.
This is it's in the I lived there from '94 to 2005.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Was it really Italian down there?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah,
Right.
actually, the Chin, the guy, the guy who was was head of the mob, and he was trying to proclaim himself crazy. So he would walk the streets in his bathrobe, and they would take pictures of him and put on the cover of the New York Post. And I saw him one day, man. I
Just
saw
walking
he just
around.
walks around, man. He had his, he had
Right.
he had a little entourage with him, but he was walking there. I said, well, that's the guy.
And he was
man.
doing that to try and get out of a court case, right?
Yeah, they were trying to get him. He was trying to plead insanity.
Right.
Yeah. The Chin, Vinny the Chin, somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to go back and watch one of those Netflix mob documentaries.
Yeah, he's in there.
So, you're living down so close to Smalls, and so much shit happening right where you're.
Yeah, I moved into my pad in August of '93, and no, August of '94, and Smalls opened up September of '94. And Mitch called, no, not Mitch, the guy that his partner called me up 3 weeks into it. I think Ari Rowland gave him my name
Right.
and just called me up on the phone and said, man, you should come down to my club and play. I said, okay, when? So I got my horn. I went over there. I think Myron Walden was playing that night. I'm not sure who was playing. Like, he was still in the new school. It was just kids, man. It was all kids. I was older than everybody. And then little by little, man, it's everybody.
Right.
People like me, well, actually, Roy Hargrove he was in there every night. Brian Lynch was in there every night. He was playing with the Messengers. I mean, after a while, like basically going into '95, and then Tommy Turrentine lived there.
Right.
He was
That's
the
what
first.
Charles told me.
He was the first cat that actually pulled up with a residence. He lived in the back in a room, like it's not even there anymore. But to the right of the bandstand used to be a little room, and that's where Tommy lived. And he brought a kind of a vibe. It was a vibe in there, man. Especially as a trumpet player,
Right. Right. Because you got
yeah,
legendary trumpet player living in
living
the
there,
club.
man. And he's true blue cat, man.
Yeah.
He's a true blue cat, and so that was it was good. It was good moments, man. And Roy was prominent. As soon as he got, he was prominent on the scene. Rotundi was around then. Lynch was around big time.
Right.
Talking trumpet players. Of course, Grant and Eric was playing down there. Joel Fromm, playing down there. Ryan Kaiser. Samuel Hell.
You say Ronnie Kaiser?
Ryan Kaiser.
Oh, Ryan Kaiser. I was
Yeah.
like, does Ryan Kaiser have a brother?
No,
that's
well, he
killing?
does have a brother. Justin Kaiser, who's also killing
Oh, right. Or what does he play again?
trumpet.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Brian Kaiser was his older brother, so he thought everybody had to play like that.
Oh man, now I got to go research and
That's what I always
Ryan's
say
like
about-
as a trumpet player, man.
Yeah, well, actually, Justin's beautiful too. He really
Wow.
plays good. Really, really great. Yeah, but Ryan's more of a virtuoso, also. So he's got that going also.
Yeah.
He's
You got that going.
Well, he's really one of the best lead trumpet players I've ever played with, and of course, we all know him for his beautiful, lyrical playing, jazz playing.
Yeah.
As an artist, but actually his, work ethic as a trumpet player is amazing. It's really, yeah.
That's what I've heard, and he also there's really very few guys who can truly play lead and really blow.
Well,
like,
yeah,
in a
him,
lyrical
John Faddis, Greg Gisbert,
way. Ooh,
and
killing.
Tony Cadlick, I would say, put into that. But I mean, cats play music on a high level and play lead on a high level. Yeah.
Right, right.
I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but
No,
that's
somebody will cover
it's
it
a
in one
short
of the other
list.
podcasts. That's how it
It's a
works.
short list.
Um, and how did you get hooked up with Swana? Because I would see you'd come down to Chris's. Maybe with or without Swana, I can't remember. But you would play Chris's when I was growing up, and then I got to know those records with Sid. And
Well, through Jerry Teakins, really, for Crisscross. Um, I mean, I had heard John's record, his two first records, and of course, he was recording in our generation of cats who weren't like on the upper end, like weren't Wallace Roney or Winton or, Roy, even because Roy was already on RCA, I guess,
okay.
But for cats like us who were in the middle, there was we worked for independent labels, so Crisscross was the hot label at that point.
Right.
So, like, even the New York Times did an article on us once where they mentioned all of us, who were all the new cats on the label, and it was nice. So, um, I got associated with John through Crisscross, and then we started hanging, and I invited him up to New York. He hung at my pad a few nights sometimes just to hang. We practiced a lot, and yeah.
He's such an amazing trumpet player.
Yeah, man. He, really, I can't really say anybody's better than him. You know what I mean? Just that he's one of a kind. Yeah. He's really, really beautiful musician.
And when did those records, the Crisscross records?
Well,
because we're jumping around here, but I'm trying to keep.
I started recording in '92. I did a record with Grant. Then I did.
And what is it?
Downtown Sounds. That's with Brad Meldau and Peter and Kenny Washington.
Right.
And then the next year I did my own record with Rini, and Eric was there, Peter and Kenny. Then I started doing he started using me more. I did couple of Walt Reiskopf records, Andy Fusco records. I was certain, I found a little niche with Teakins for about 8 years. I had, and I did counting the Swana records, I did 6 as a leader.
Wow.
2 as a co-leader, but 6. So yeah, so I had but then it was over basically because that's Jerry. Once you get to a certain point, he's not interested. He wasn't interested anymore, and rightly so. He ran a good business. That's what he did. He always had the new guy coming in. That was his thing.
Definitely, yeah. All the way up until I think maybe Philip Dizak, my age.
Sure,
was one
exactly.
Of the last cats my
exactly.
age.
Dizak, Mike Rodriguez. Those are the last. You're the last frontier of that. Yeah. Of that thing. But that was important, man, because now we know now everybody's making records and they're promoting themselves, but back then you had to actually be recognized by somebody who had access to the technology and could afford to record it.
Right.
Had the access to all the although there were bigger cats doing their own records, but they had money. Like Frank Sinatra and
Paul
McCartney. Yeah, Paul McCartney. Yeah, but it was
big
rare.
Time guys.
It was rare. So it was so that was cool. That's how I got associated with John and a bunch of other cats too.
Right.
Dave Hazeltine and
right.
Snydero. Although I knew Snydero from Toshiko's band, but yeah.
When did you start playing with Toshiko?
89.
Okay.
And I'm still playing with her. She calls me,
Right.
She fired me once because I didn't make a gig for a year, so she fired me in 1999 because I went on the road with Harry Connick Jr. and we were out there, and she just had little things here and there.
Now, was that the band? I mean, there are many incarnations of the Connick band, but this
it's like the Wolf, second big run of the big band. Yeah, Wolf was there.
Jerry.
Oh yeah,
Jerry
of course.
Weldon.
Yeah, Wolf was there. Yeah, like he did his first band. Then he did his funk thing.
What was that?
That was I think it's called Purple Turtles or something like that. Or he did like 2 or 3 funk records where they played funk, and he wasn't really pulling the people in like he was when he was doing the big band. So after about 3 or 4 years, then he did a string tour, and that was successful. And then he brought the big band back, and that's when I wasn't supposed to have the gig. I was just subbing, but then I'm not going to mention who it was, but somebody that everybody knows was supposed to come in, but they got into a little bit of a scene, So I took the spot. I was just there. Like, man, you want to do it? Yeah, okay. You
Wow.
got it. And that's how I got. It was a big gig for me at the time, just because I had never made that much money week after week. You know what I mean? I never
Yeah.
had. So it was a good chance to. And it's fun to hang out there and all that stuff. But it wasn't
Right.
really my cup of tea. Although I will say that being around Harry for those 2 or 3 years, he's a master musician, man,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot from him,
It's the
man.
first words out of everybody's mouth.
No, man, that
Yeah.
cat is bad, man. And like for a while, he used to have this thing where he would rearrange the band. Like, as well, I went have the trumpets over here tonight. Like like Harry really.
Physically
I mean,
rearranging.
he was really living his dream. Like he would write, like he would physically move the band around just to experiment. So for a while, I was actually sitting on his left hand, man. I was almost from here to you, almost close to his left hand. So he would play solo every night and do his stuff, and just to watch his approach bass lines, and like just the stuff you think you know what it is, but you have no idea what it is once you start looking at his hand. Like, oh my God, man, look, that's what like.
Yeah.
I don't know, just it was
No, that's
it
the way
was
I feel when I watch O'Neill
well, yeah,
with
I
the
would
voicings.
say
I'm like, I think I know what that voicing is, and then I look
I
at
would
it.
say the same level. Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Somebody with that kind of knowledge, like
Right.
like George Shearing
Right.
and that kind of like uh, yeah, kind of inner
Right.
things. I'm not really a pianist, so I can't really.
No, I just heard,
But
man, you were
I'm an amateur. Maybe in a small town of 1,000, I could get a gig at a
yeah,
hotel.
you get a gig at, there's a small hotel you could get a gig at. No, man, you sound so during that time when you're with Conic, what year is that? I guess.
I was touring with Harry from the summer, the spring of '99, and then I got the gig with Ray Barretto the summer of 2003, and so that's when I kind of started denying tours. Like, just I couldn't make it. And after the third one, the office called me and said, "Well, we're gonna
Right.
replace you with Mark Bro," which I was like, I knew that was gonna happen anyway. So, um, and that was cool. And to be honest, man, I still subbed on the band for a while, and I did 5 more record dates. So Harry was beautiful cat to me, in every way, and it was cool. It was a good experience.
Yeah. So, how did you wind up getting the gig with Ray Barretto? What was the?
Well, I had Adam Coker told me that he had heard me on the radio. Not that he was floored or anything like that, but
Right.
he was aware of me.
Right.
And then there was an audition in '98 that I still kick myself today for not going to. Not thinking I would have get the gig, but I wish I would have gone just for the experience. But then John Bailey got the gig, who's one of the great trumpet players, and he did the gig for like 5 years. But during that time, I started to see Ray around town, and we used to sit in together. He used to play drums with Ray Vega, and that's kind of where I got the gig. I was going down there to sit in with Ray too, and he heard me down there. So I subbed on the band in 2001, the summer of 2001, for 2 months, and then in 2003, when John was done, Ray called me, and that was it. I did it till he passed away.
Wow.
Yeah,
And that was
2006.
okay.
Yeah,
So how
yeah.
were you guys out all the time?
We were out. Well, we would go out we went to Europe, maybe. Well, maybe actually several, many times. But yeah, there was always something going on, man. It was very rare that a month would go by where we didn't have something. Maybe a couple times. Like we had like a month or two. But other than that, yeah, we were doing something every, couple things every month.
Right. As opposed to Conic, where it was like.
Conic, you just out there. You get like 5 days off just so Harry could go see his family. Yeah. I mean, we were busy.
Was it chunk months out of the year, or was it like?
Yeah,
spot
it
dates
was no,
and
it was chunk months. Like a tour was they book it like the first one I did was starting in April. Oh, that we did the Letterman show in May, and we went out I think the beginning of June, and we stayed out till the end of February, basically.
Right.
Then it was like a year where we just did spot things. Still good though. Still, those actually that was a hit year actually for money wise, because you go out for make more money on these when you did 4 or 5 gigs as opposed to 2 weeks. They were usually big. Anyways,
Oh wow. Oh
not
yeah,
not
because
not to get in, not to talk like I'm some kind of
no,
but
no, no. But you're saying there were like bigger events that you would
bigger
hit 4 or 5
events.
of
Yeah,
rather than a tour.
you didn't have to give up your New York life to actually still keep making money. Then the
Right.
next year was 2002, and that year I did another big tour with him, all the way through. Like, yeah, it was a long tour, and then 2003 was was the and then also in that time I did a Broadway show with him.
Oh right.
And I was on stage. He wrote us. He wrote yeah, he wrote me into the show. Wrote a bunch of musicians into the show, and so I made I was working for SAG and for the Musicians Union.
Oh dig.
Yeah, it
Check
was
that.
cool. Yeah, it was 6 months. So I had a good, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do, and I wasn't ready for it because I wasn't a school trumpeter. You know what I mean? Like I was sitting next to Roger Ingram, who's like, maybe 4 or 5 notches down from Freddie Hubbard as far as playing the trumpet. You know what I mean? You get maybe a few guys in between, but he's just so good. You know what I mean? So I could never rise up. Like I could play my part fine, and I could do my thing, but I could never like. He was looking for me to like take Roger's place or be like a real strong lead guy. That's what he had in mind for me. That's what he thought I was going to turn into,
Right.
which I had no eyes to do.
Yeah.
I was still trying to, so when Ray called me for the gig, I was like, yeah, I wanted to get into my, then I started writing for Ray. I started arranging for the band, as we all did, but, so it was just a good experience, playing with Myron, and it
Yeah.
was just,
So who was Ray Barretto's manager?
the first band was Perdomo, Luis Perdomo, um, Johannes,
Weidenmuller?
Weidenmuller,
Yeah.
Adam Coker. No, Myron. Adam Coker had left. It was Myron, me, and Vince Cherico.
Okay.
But then Ricky Rodriguez came in. Um, uh, um, what's Mike's brother? Robert Rodriguez, trumpet, piano player.
Right.
I can't believe I forgot Robert's name. That's crazy. Ray, Vinny, and me. Yeah, and Myron. Yeah. And then at the end, Adam Coker came back again at the very end, and then also Ray's son played a few gigs at the very end. Chris, yeah,
And that whole time, you're kind of in and out, so you're still working in New York a ton. You're still
yeah. But Ray was like if you couldn't miss a gig with Ray, which I really didn't. I didn't miss. I don't think I didn't miss any gigs with Ray.
wow.
John Bailey. I had a situation with my man Todd Barkin once, which I had to miss 2 gigs because him and Ray had some kind of situation, but I never missed a gig. Like when I get on a band, I'm there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm not trying to,
Right.
I did that once, and I'm sorry. When I played with Toshigo, I was really trying to get into the Vanguard band. So when they would call me on Monday night, sometimes I would sub out, and I still feel bad that I did that because Toshiko was like she's my girl, man. I mean, like
Right.
she gave me every opportunity to play and supported me, So I kind of feel bad about that. I kind of did that, but anyways, usually when I join a band, I'm like, I'm in the band,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that happens to so many people. And a lot of people feel like they change after it happens once and there's a bad kind of vibe or something. They change their.
Yeah, I think you just need to do that once and you realize that's really not a way to go through
man,
life,
I
man.
fucked up and did it a bunch of times, man. Because,
Yeah.
like moving to New York, bass player, when you finally get like a little bit of play, phone starts ringing. And that was the best piece of advice Yasushi ever gave me, actually. He was just like, man, first commitment, always,
He gave you good advice.
Yeah.
And man, you're right. You got busy quick because you can play and
No,
everybody likes you.
That's nice of you.
No, it's true.
I fucked
man.
up a bunch, though. I subbed out, like, I would feel guilty, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody's calling me that somebody I always wanted to play with, and I would be like, fuck, I need to make that, and, we all did it. Me and Benny and Kyle and Emmett, we all went through that and juggling each other's. We were playing with each other's bands and stuff like that. So
Still though, yeah.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, still, people have feelings. People have egos.
yeah,
So I didn't realize that. Like that's the thing I didn't realize till later in life. Like everybody has big egos. Not that that's a bad thing. You gotta have an ego to play
to
this
get
music.
through life,
Yeah, and to play this music, you have to have an ego because you have to make time for yourself to practice. You have to stand up for what you believe and what you want to do, and you have to have self-confidence for that, and that has something to do with the ego.
Yeah,
You got the whole. I think the whole uh, the key of it is just to control it and to use it to help people or to make people feel good
Right.
and not against
Use your
people.
powers for good, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I'm still trying to learn that, man.
Yeah. And did you feel like when you first, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this mic close to you because I feel bad. You're like, you have to like inch up to be on it.
No, that's cool, man.
No,
That's
you
all
should
right.
be able to relax your Wilson, man. That's the whole thing. Is the whole man, like, please relax. The whole Omer energy, I'm really taking
Yeah, I love that energy, man.
That's my.
Omar, man, he was a star at Smalls, man.
Oh, that's.
Back in the day.
There you go. Sit there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a better stance.
I can stand on it. I mean, I can put my foot on it. Yeah, cool.
Well, no, actually, you know, it's gonna make noise if you do that.
Okay.
That's one thing I've learned.
And you got some nuance going in here, baby.
What'd you say?
You got some nuance.
What do you mean?
Little things like
Yeah, I'm starting to get into the engineering thing a little bit, and it's like, no wonder all those motherfuckers are crazy. There you go.
Is that good?
Check that out.
All right.
Boom, and yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Should I move over here a little bit?
Yeah, move up. Just get.
All right. Let's go over here. Yeah, cool. All right.
Oh, watch out.
Oh shit. Oh.
I'll leave that all in, bro.
All right. Luckily, I drank enough; it didn't spill.
There you go. Yeah. See?
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I'm just checking you because.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a little. Go ahead and talk for a second.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. It's a good tune, man. Actually, man.
What, Jingle Bell Rock?
That's a good tune. I like that tune.
Okay, I gotta figure it out. You ready for this?
Oh, there you go. Bill Evans and
I brought that.
Tony Bennett.
Now you can talk. Go ahead.
The touch of your lips.
Upon my brow.
Man, that's a great one.
There we go. Now we're cooking with gas.
Bill is just unbelievable on that one, man.
That's one of my favorite records, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little bit like.
Don't worry about it, man.
I'm getting into it, and I go back and I mix it. And
I can't believe anybody's even interested in what I got to say.
No,
so
dude,
you know.
No, the thing, I think everybody's going to be really interested in this, and I feel so fortunate to have access to you and Joel and all these. There's nobody interviewing jazz cats right now.
Well.
I mean, yeah, sure, on the mega Chick and Herbie and Keith and all that, but there's a whole community.
There's a whole fiber. There's a whole foundation of cats, man.
Yeah, and I feel like I got inspired by A.T. by that book.
Notes and Tones.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
How many gems are in that book? Like,
oh man, you can really feel what's happening in the day, man. You can the way they talk about just their lives and yeah. I need to read that book again. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think where we were talking about. Yeah, egos are.
Yeah, I just thought
so you didn't realize that. Like, what was your upbringing like in Syracuse in terms of music? Like,
well, I was on an island, man, because I grew up in a basketball family. Everybody was geared towards playing the game of basketball. So I was, spent most of my young life, working on my game. And I would come home at night and I took guitar lessons. I had a piano and I took trumpet lessons when I was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Even into 9th, actually. And then but by 9th grade, I realized that if I didn't put all my efforts into playing basketball, I would never make the varsity. And that's all I want. I had to make the varsity basketball team. Right. And they were really good. They were pros that played on the varsity. Like cats went into the NBA. And so, so that was my focus. So I didn't really have a young, I played guitar in church in the 70s, like 73, 74 for folk masses.
Playing acoustic?
Playing acoustic, and that was actually the cut when the Catholic Church started to bring folk music into the fold.
What?
Yeah, so I was the first.
You were like the early.
I was the early. I was the
Christian
first generation of Christian rock. Exactly. Yes, and I was in 8th grade, 9th grade. But like I said, after that, but then I went to a high school. Like I wasn't involved with the church that much anymore. So it really wasn't until I went to Berkeley, my sophomore year in college. I went for one semester. I got there, somebody told me that the Huntington Y was around the corner. I wanted to go work out, so I went to the gym. It was unbelievable basketball games, man. These football players from Boston University, football players from, from Boston College, great athletes playing basketball. You know, they're not.
And that's why you're still, people know you as a basketball
So I
guy in
play.
the
I
jazz
went.
scene.
I was at Berkeley School of Music, and I was basically at the Huntington Y every night playing ball. You know, and it was a short court.
What year is this at Berkeley?
I was there the spring of 1980.
Was Kikoski there with you?
Man, Wallace was there, Smitty Smith, Branford. I didn't know anybody, man. I was just hanging, man. Like, you know, and I went to like 6 Celtic games. I just was like, you know, anyway. So my point is, I didn't really start to appreciate like what a musical career could be until I went to Fredonia State, which is in Buffalo, the next year. And I got cut from the basketball team that year. Before that, I played in a junior college for a year and a half. Anyways, so I got cut off the team, and that's when I started to realize, man, I want to be a trumpet player. So I got my degree in liberal arts, and I just started practicing after that. And that's kind of like really when I started.
Right. So that's why you initially in the beginning you were like, I kind of got to trumpet later. You got to music late.
Yeah, music later, and I certainly didn't have like a trumpet routine, chops kind of thing going on.
Where did that enter? Where did you?
Well, you know, the first thing I did practice, you know, like I was a studious trumpet player, like from 22 to 25. And I got the gig with Ain't Misbehavin'. I tried out. I had a tryout. I made, you know, it wasn't like New York competition, but I was up in Syracuse. But I got the gig and I did it for 27 weeks. And that helped my trumpet playing a lot.
And was it, how many trumpets were in the
One.
book?
And you're on
So you're
stage.
playing lead and
You're playing lead and you're on stage, and you could have a bad night, but you can't have 2 bad nights. You know, no, seriously, because you know there's only 5 people in the cast and 6 people in the band or something like that. Maybe whatever, 5 people in the band. So you know,
right.
you can, you know, people will give you a break a little bit, but you can't go like 2-3 nights
Right.
screwing something up. So I
Yeah.
really learned how to be a good trumpet player. Then I went out with Chorus Line for 4 months after that. Long story short, after I was in New York for a minute, when that show ended in Darien, which I mentioned earlier, I played third trumpet, and I started smoking weed, man, because I was on the bus with these dancers, and that's also where I met my girlfriend, and it was just a party.
Damn.
So my chops.
Dancer is chorus line. She must have been bad.
Yeah, she was my sweetheart. But anyways, I have my wife and my sweetheart now, so
Yeah,
I'm
you
cool.
did. Yeah.
You know, but that was another life, you know.
Right.
But
Wait, chorus line is one singular sensation.
Yeah,
man. My
yeah,
dad.
yeah.
That's like my dad's shit on all of his gigs. Society.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Just like, and the other one.
There's some good tunes, man.
Tits and ass, right? Dun, 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 dun.
That was my girl.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Yeah, Mitzi Hamilton, her name was. Yeah. Anyways, no, the other one is "Kiss the Day Goodbye."
Yeah.
Boo-bee-doo-da-doo-dee-da. That's a beautiful tune, man.
You know who loves the music from that show is Kurt.
Yeah.
Kurt's always like, man, a chorus line. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, no, Burt no, who was that? Burt Bacharach? No, who wrote that? I don't know. I think it might be. I think it's Burt Bacharach. No.
Oh man, this is where I need my dad, man.
Anyways,
He'd be
it's
like,
some
"Oh,
good
man."
tunes, man. Some good tunes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you already what were you listening to?
Well, at that point, no, I was starting to listen to, I was into Kenny Dorham and I was listening to all the shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And when did that start? Do you think
It started in Syracuse, like
somebody
1983.
hip you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I met J.R. Montrose when I was, the end of my, like I finished college June of 1982. I met J.R. Montrose and his great trumpet player Sal Miko was my,
Yeah.
I met them in I went to California first because I wanted to study with Bobby Shue, and he told me to move back to Syracuse and start practicing. That's what he told me. He said, man, he goes, he showed me a lot of great stuff, but he said, go back to Syracuse, practice for a couple years, and then move to New York. And that's what I did. So when I met JR, and, JR he's a legend, man.
Was he playing every night?
Well, he was playing a couple nights a week. He had a steady night, which I went to all the time. And then Sal was playing with him. And then I met Nick Brignola. I started working with Nick Brignola by the time I was 25, 24. The thing is, I knew music. Like, I played guitar, I played piano. I knew So when I heard, I could hear, I could just hear things. Even in college, okay, I didn't. Fredonia has a music program, right? And they have all these. I wasn't a music major, but I had the gig at the White Inn on Saturday nights in town. There was a little
Oh,
restaurant, and these old dudes, they're probably my age now, but they're like, they had a trio. I went in there and sat in one night, and they said, "You can do the gig, man. Just learn these tunes." So I learned like whatever, 10 or 15 tunes, and I played there every Saturday night. Trumpet.
wow.
Never practiced. Just picked up my trumpet and played these tunes.
See,
So
you
I could, what I'm saying? I was just like a low. I wasn't like a overachiever. I was underachiever.
no, but you were. I mean, it wasn't necessarily your main focus at that
Well,
point.
I was still at that point. I was still thinking like how I missed this shot in high school. When I could. You know what I mean? Like I was still thinking about all the stuff I screwed up, basketball wise. I mean, I wasn't even.
Well,
Even
yeah,
in,
but you
even
were
in New York.
programmed from a
Yeah,
basketball.
exactly.
Yeah.
Even when I came to New York, man, I used to see these cats real hungry for gigs and trying to get ahead. And I was just thinking like, that's not really my thing. I already went through competition, man. I wasn't into competition. You know what I mean?
So by going through sports and the basketball thing, you feel like the ego part of it. Maybe that's why what you were saying before. You were in music because you loved it.
Yeah.
There was no that shit had already happened with basketball.
Yeah. It already happened, and I was still thinking about it, man. You know what I mean? I was still kind of
Really?
like licking
For
my.
how long?
Oh man, into my 40s, I was still licking my wounds. Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
see, that means you also have a really deep love for basketball.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Well, because I just realized if I would have took it more serious, But the thing is, I'm glad I kind of sucked, man, because not, like I think if I would have been better and I would have played longer in college, and maybe even tried to play like my big goal was like get a contract to play in Europe. That was like I know I could never make the pros. I couldn't. They had these other like pro leagues in the States. So my brother-in-law played because he played in the pros. But I was like, maybe I could get a contract and go to Europe, But like, I would have never been in music because I would have had to play into my 20s. I would have, I would have been still playing
What's
24,
the name of that
25.
cat who went to MSM? Maybe he's a professional baseball player?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll have to ask Benny and them. They know him.
You're kind of your age.
No, like in between maybe like in his early 40s now or mid 40s.
I don't know who that
if
is.
I said
What's
his
he
name,
play?
you'd be like, "What'd you say?"
What's he play?
Instrument wise, I think he played guitar. I don't know fucking shit about sports. I don't know anything.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
My uncle owns a big sports bar in Philly,
Yeah.
so I got to see all the shit when I was growing up, but I just never really. I sucked. I was a fat kid, so I could never play shit. You know. What I
You're
mean?
better off, man.
Well,
better
my
off.
parents are also, super.
Better off, man.
Yeah, no, this is my next my Ned Gould excursion. I'm doing the blues guitar.
Ned Gould, man.
Me and Ned Gould, we can't bond over much, but we can bond over Stevie Ray and Albert King. And
He's got a vast mind, man. He's well read.
that's where Chuck and Albert get it from, man.
Oh yeah.
Albert's songwriting, man, is like he's one of my faves.
One time we were rehearsing for a record with Harry, and I guess it wasn't. I forgot whether it was somewhere in Midtown, some studio. And Charles came. He was like 10 years old, maybe 12, but I think I could have been 10. And he was always hanging around, man. Sitting in on the sound check, playing drums. 10 years old, 11 years old. So Harry goes. So he listened to the whole rehearsal. He heard this last tune a couple times, and Harry goes, "Hey Charles, you heard this tune? You want to play it?" Okay. Sat up, played the tune down, man. I had tears in my eyes, man. I couldn't even keep playing. I had tears in my eyes. He heard the whole thing and he played the whole tune. And he was. I'm pretty sure he might have been. Maybe he was 12. Still 12 years old.
That's
man.
incredible.
Yeah.
And big band.
Big band rehearsal.
Fuck.
For a record date, cats are like on it, man. They're on. It's like it's.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the first person I ever met in New York. We came up
Charles?
from Philly to visit. We came to see Ari Honig because like Ari Honig's from Philly, and
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
going to see him on a Monday night. And I sat in the Smalls. I was like shit in my pants, man. Played like Alone together. So I remember Kenneth Salters, and I remember Danton Bowler was really nice to me. And I remember but Charles was like, "Hey, you guys want to come to my apartment and play tomorrow?" And we're like, "Oh my god!" Like Charles Gould, like we were 16, 17.
How much older is he than you?
He's 2 years older than me, maybe. I'm 28. I think Charles is 30. Or maybe he's 31. But yeah, and then we went to his place, which I think was him and his dad's place, and we played, and just like being like, wow, this guy's like so. But he also went to Temple too.
Went to Temple, yeah,
For
and Juilliard,
track
right?
and field.
Yeah, oh, he's a good basketball player, man.
Yeah,
Really good basketball player.
who when you ball in the city, who do you?
Well, I haven't, but man, but I used to ball with a cat named Chris Albert. He was a trumpet player, older than me, but he was a good player. I don't really. There was some cats. This bass player, I forgot his name now, but he wasn't like on the scene. He was just kind of, because back in the day there was gigs. I mean, your father, we just cat I knew just from playing gigs like in bars and stuff.
Club dates.
Yeah, club dates or rock or rhythm and blues gigs.
Were you doing any of that society kind of stuff?
A little bit. I worked at the Rainbow Room for 8 months once.
Oh,
I had
shit.
and I worked for that office for a while, but not much, man. I wasn't interested in that.
Which office? Only I asked because
It was Cabot Scott,
okay, my dad.
not Stephen Scott. Cabot Scott.
Scott,
Different.
Oh, very yeah.
Because Cabot Scott had the contract at the Rainbow Room. So, and Stephen Scott was the Scott is the same, but it was he had two companies. Like whoever Scott was the same cat was at the Rainbow Room too, but he was associated with Joe Cabot. So they had Cabot Scott, and that company that so because I worked at the Rainbow Room, there wasn't many things to do because I was working there every night, and if I had a night off, I didn't want to go play a club day. You know what I'm saying?
Because you were already doing that.
Yeah, but I worked. They did send me out on some things, here and there. Cabot Scott, yeah.
Right. My dad was with Michael Carney, who was kind of a
Yeah, sure.
My dad was like Carney's
I've
right
heard that
hand.
name,
If Carney
yeah.
couldn't make a date, my dad would go and lead it.
I knew that
As a
name,
piano
yeah.
player. Yeah. He was Art Carney's nephew.
Oh, really?
Art Carney was on the honeymoon.
Yeah, honeymooners. You're sure. Art Carney.
Yeah, it's a little
Norton, Ed Norton.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was his name, Ed Norton. Sure.
But between the club dates, you were making shit at Smalls and
Yeah, I was doing all kinds of
Augie?
50.
You were
Yeah, well,
heavy at Augie's, right?
well, I mean, I played there on Sunday nights with Samuel, and I say the longest run was with Sam, playing Rhodes, Dwayne Burno, and Joe
man.
Strasser. That we did that for, I don't know, a couple years, and then I did a couple years on Wednesdays with Michael Karn, playing tenor,
Oh man,
and Dennis Irwin and
it's amazing.
Mark Taylor.
That's how Carn plays bass so amazing. He was standing right in front of Dennis every.
Man. Let me tell you something, man. Not Karn was such a great tenor player that on Thursdays I couldn't listen to music because I had so much information from the night before
From Carn standing
from
next to
Karn,
you.
and the whole band. But Thursdays was just quiet day because I just had to think about. I had to let it set. Really, honestly, man. I mean, I think about how lucky I was. Really, I mean, to be around. Skip too, man. So when I worked with Skip back in the, in Grant also, cats were on him. Cats practice all day long, man.
Yeah.
Like I used to go over to Grant's house, man. Grant, you just sit in a chair like this, like a chair, like not like a practice chair, like a living room chair with his tenor, with like all these CDs everywhere, and he just playing with CDs all day long, man. Just put this one in now, play this,
Was he playing solos or was he blowing over stuff or was he
Both. He just knew everything so well. He'd blow the solo for a while, then he played whatever the piano player was playing. Like that's what he did. Eric used to have a room at Westbeth down in
Right.
and he used to practice every night for 4 hours after the gig. And I know he did because my friend Vince Cherico's drummer used to have drums.
I've met Vince.
Yeah, he used to have a studio down there. So he was working, 4 or 5 nights a week most of the time. He used to bring his drums in there at nighttime before he went home because he lives in the village. He had a spot to leave his drums. He said Eric was in there every night practicing. There wasn't a night where he'd go in there. Very rarely he'd go in there was a night where he didn't hear the tenor.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible, man.
Nah, he'd be, he'd
Yeah.
be half fucking in the bag
Yeah,
by the
we
time
know.
he got down there. But usually he walked there, so maybe by the time he got down there, he was fairly cool.
Right, exactly.
But I mean,
He
these
probably
cats,
had a Coors Light with him,
these cats were, it's serious cats, man. So I was really lucky to be around like those kind of, people like that, man.
But that seemed like it was just the norm of Smalls in that time.
It was, yeah.
That's
it
what
was.
Omer and Charles and
Yeah, it
everybody
was. Yeah, and Myron and Joel Fromm, everybody, just like everybody was just trying to play as good, as good as they could, man.
Yeah.
But the thing is, everybody was trying to make it out of Smalls. What we didn't realize was that Smalls was the place. Maybe it was becoming the place because
Of the world.
more and more, yeah, more and more people. You know what I'm saying? Like because in the beginning, man, I'm telling you, it was just high school kids in there drinking beers and smoking cigarettes. I mean, there was nights. I mean, I still say this, knock on wood. I'm still cool, and I still pray for this. But I would take a breath to play, and I would breathe in so much smoke. I'm going like, oh man, I just smoked a pack of cigarettes, man. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, because cats, they just be sit up there blowing smoke at us, man.
There was another place that Charles and Omer said on their podcast that was even smokier.
Dharma.
ST Bar.
Oh, the S&T bar. Well, that's before that. Oh yeah, S&T bar. S&T bar was about as big as this room.
And then there was another spot. I can't remember the name, but they were like Smalls was definitely up there for the smokiest.
S&T, but also Dharma was pretty bad
Maybe
too
it's
because
Dharma.
we used to play on top above the bar and smoke rises.
Oh man!
So that
Like
shit-
the half note, the pictures of the half note up on top of.
Oh
the
yeah,
bar.
that was up. Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
I
I'm not-
walk by that all the time in Soho. I mean, the old building.
That's the place where you had the gig downstairs. No,
No, it's Bohemia.
wasn't upstairs the half note.
Upstairs was the original Cafe Bohemia. So Miles and all
Oh.
them used to play upstairs, and I actually got a little bit more detail from this Sam Jones interview somebody gave me. I'll give it to you. It's like 3 hours, and he talks. That was his first gig with KD. They were trading sets with Miles. That live at the Cafe Bohemia, Miles was playing the other sets with PC and Red Garland and Philly Joe. So he talks about the Cafe Bohemia, and then from talking to the people that ran it, they were upstairs. I think a lot of that wood is still the same. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But the downstairs wasn't shit back then.
Wow.
And then the half note, from what I understand, Hudson and Springs, the corner.
Hudson. Okay.
So right near where.
Yeah.
So I used to walk by that all the time and like look at the pictures of the train and be like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like one of the first real.
You know, it's also heavy too, man. And nobody ever talks about this, but the lady used to transcribe train solos as he played them, and used to give it to him.
Somebody mentioned this to me.
It was
once.
when he was playing at the half note. That period, like whenever that was, late '50s, I guess. Isn't that where Miles had the steady gig too?
That was Bohemia.
Oh, that was Cafe Bohemia. Okay.
Half notes like end of 64 through end of 65 train. Like really the.
Okay, so the lady used to
The
come. There,
stretching.
there was a lady who used to come in there and transcribe his shit as he played it and hand it to him on the way out. Like, here's what you played tonight.
That's fucking.
She was a French horn player or something like that. Yeah,
That's fucking crazy.
that's New York, man.
I know, right?
That's New York and L.A. You know what I
never
mean?
really know who's listening, right?
You never know who's listening, and that's where people that gravitate towards those kind of cities where there's opportunities like that, man. To hear,
Yeah.
to grow and to be around great other musicians and stuff. I mean, that's why I moved here, for sure.
And were you scared when you first moved here? Were you?
No, because I had a show, man. I had a gig. I wasn't, I didn't even know how long I'd be staying, but I knew as soon as I got here, I didn't want to go back. I mean, really, like, I don't even, maybe the first week, I'm like, I ain't going back to Syracuse. I don't care what.
Right.
Like my first day off, I think I went to Central Park and hung out. And I'm like, nah, I ain't going back to Syracuse, man. And the show lasted 10 weeks. So I was really ingrained. So I wasn't scared. And then I had, I collected unemployment, man, after that. And then unemployment went right into my next gig with Chorus Line. So I wasn't scared at all in New York. I was grooving,
Yeah.
It wasn't like it is now, man. Now it's like we know all these people that come to play jazz. I was coming just to, like, there was a scene. It was, like I could make my rent, which was, higher than anything I paid in Syracuse,
Yeah.
just playing the trumpet, man. There was, Roseland Ballroom was still happening.
Wow.
So I did, I got hooked into that early on. So I was doing 5 days. No, I was doing 3 days a week.
And what was that? Just acts coming through?
No, it was a 8 hours gig, half hour on, half hour off. Maybe it was 6 hours. Dance. It was like, so you got there at noon, you played till 6,
Like
maybe.
Lester Lannon Orchestra?
Yeah,
kind of shit?
I played in the Lester Lanning kind of thing, and then they had a Latin
That,
band.
that's so bananas to me. I know you're older, but that you know what that is.
Sure, I did that.
Nobody
Yeah.
my age knows. I'm like
Yeah,
Lester
I know.
Lannon.
Well, I
and
was
they're
the
like,
last. I was the last kind of generation for that. That kind of like steady work.
So if you were born in 60, I don't
60.
mean to date you on the.
Yeah.
So you're 60.
Yeah, I'm 60. Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah. My dad's 66. So.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah. I mean, and then there was a lot of shows like singers would come through. Plus, the other good fortune I had in New York was that the road, like I played with Lionel Hampton,
Yeah.
87, 88 into 89, and then I subbed for years after that, many times. But I was in the band, so the road manager, not his manager, but the road manager was Bill Berjak, and his brother was a big contractor in Philadelphia area, New Brunswick area. So he was putting me on all these. I played with Aretha Franklin a lot. I played with all these acts, man. Like, so he was just because Bill said, "Take care of my man,"
That's amazing.
So I was lucky, and then he unfortunately passed away. He had a heart attack, and I wasn't getting called as much as I was after that, because that's how that stuff, as you know, it works,
Yeah.
man. It's who you know,
It's in the
Yeah.
family.
But so I lucked out, as early on in my career, I had a lot of, lucky things.
Sounds like you had a lot of work.
I was working, yeah.
So
yeah.
then the artistic side, quote unquote, artistic side of it, or jazz, or you could
Well, a lot. I was still practicing all the time, man. I was learning.
sure.
Like when I came to New York in those early years, I was really into Clifford Brown. I learned a lot of his language and tried to play it, and I was playing with a great drummer named Leo Mitchell.
Okay.
On 21st Street, he had an apartment, and like I met Bill Hardman over there. Hal Dotson lived upstairs. I met Tyler Mitchell there. I met Ari Rowland there. Me and Jerry Weldon used to go there all the time. Joe Forbes, because there was no piano; it was just bass and
Joel
drums.
Forbes, man.
Yeah, so we played there out the summer of '88 and '89. We played there all the time.
Yeah.
So in the midst of doing all this stuff, I was playing sessions every day, smoking weed, playing sessions.
And when you worked with Gates, that was Jerry told me this story about how George Duvivier wound up doing the gig very last minute for like a week or two. Were you on that week?
No, I wasn't. That was I think it was before
It was
me.
before, right?
Yeah, before
I
me.
love
yeah.
that story. I got to get Jerry on the podcast and have him tell that story.
But I worked with Jimmy Woody and Bobby Durham a lot
That's
with
insane.
Gates. Yeah,
Jimmy Woody played with Bird, right?
and Duke Ellington.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think
I think he's on some late Bird. Yeah, I think so.
I think I saw something on that documentary that Michael Weiss posted the other day.
Yeah, and with Gates, I got to play with Harry Sweets Edison, and hang with him.
What was Sweets like?
A great guy, man. Big weed guy, man. Just a bad cat, man.
Yeah.
Like a bad cat. You know what I mean? A truly bad cat, man. And then I got to play with Art Farmer and Benny Bailey. Just me. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to see Miles live twice. We did a tour once with Tony Williams' band with Wallace and Billy Pierce. We played like 7 gigs in the same
Mulgrew
venues.
in that band?
Yeah. It was, I was listening to Tony Williams. Literally, he was right there where the couch was. I'm watching him play. At least 2 or 3 nights. I was, just a lot of great experiences. Saw Miles in Nice. Saw Miles in another venue. I guess it must have been The Hague.
Was Rick?
No, it was Kenny Garrett. It was '88. Kenny Garrett, Marcus Miller.
Oh man.
It was a great band, man. And Miles, oh man, he sounded so great,
Ndugu,
man.
maybe.
Who
was playing drums?
I couldn't tell you. I just know it was him and Kenny Garrett, Marcus. I don't know who else.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Man.
No, it was great. And then Miles, I remember we were sitting in the lobby in Nice. Dizzy was there. Winton's band was there. Art Blakey was there. And then Miles comes through, man. He comes in the front door with his entourage and walks from the front door all around to the elevators, gets on the elevators, goes up, and everybody it was like you never see that commercial when E.F. Hutton talks, everybody listens.
No,
I used to have this commercial. Everybody just stopped. It was like watching Miles, man. Dizzy included, man. I was watching, man. Everybody just stopped watching Miles. Gets on the elevator, goes up, and then everybody starts talking again. It was like a commercial, man.
It's like his vibe. Everybody was just trying to get a piece of the vibe.
Yeah, and then. I'm not sure. I went to Nice twice with Gates, and I think that it was the next year that I met Art Blakey, and I got to play with him at the session, and man, we hung out, me, him, and like maybe 2 other people. I don't think it was anybody in the Lionel Hampton band. It was like some other cats. I didn't know who they were, and he just talked to us like all night, man. He just talked. I mean, I'm sure he was,
right,
but he was such a beautiful cat, man. I mean, just like a positivity, man. Like just positive, man. It was great.
Wow.
Now I'm sure he had many moods and there's many sides of Art Blakey, but I just caught, and then I went to a couple of his auditions. I never played with him in an audition. I sat in once. I think Tame Watts was playing drums because art split. But so I never really auditioned for the band. But I was there when Philip Harper got the gig, and I was there when E.J. Allen got the gig for a second.
Is
And
that
I
Carl
was
Allen's brother?
Yeah, E.J. Great cat, man, great trumpet player. And then I was there when Lynch got the gig. I didn't have the confidence, but I wanted to be around that. I used to hear that band a lot. I was there the night they opened up with Frank Lacey and Lynch and Javon and the alto player from Australia.
Oh,
I was there that night.
What's his name?
The first night at Sweet Basil's.
The dude. What's that dude's name?
Yeah, good player.
Yeah.
But anyways,
He's the only Australian messenger. That's what
yeah, Dale Barlow.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, good
Nice
guy,
one.
man.
See,
Cool.
you're not bad with names. You pulled
No,
that one.
yeah.
Still
No,
got-
I knew Dale, man. He was a good cat. He was a good cat. And then the last band he had was Steve Davis came in, and I think that was it. Same cats. Frank didn't do it for that long.
And were you hanging at Bradley's at all?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. I used to hang at Bradley's, but I wasn't like a regular. I would go there and hear people like Tom. I know there was 2 Tom Harrell engagements where I caught at least 2 sets a night, the whole engagement, like every night I was there. And I was at that time, I was actually living in Bronxville for a short minute, so I was driving in every night, man.
Just to hear Tom.
Yeah. But that was a good experience because I learned a lot, man.
Right.
Close up, just watching him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To you, what about like every trumpet player that I talk to? They're just like, of course, Tom. We all know Tom Harrell's incredible, but what to you like? Everybody's like trumpet players speak about him with such reverence. Such like incredible. Is it the facility on the trumpet that grabs you right away as a trumpet player, or like what do you?
Well, he does have great facility. It's masked in his lyricism, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
He's not a show-off, you know what I mean? But he has great facility. I think the thing about Tom is that he's just like a swinging bebop motherfucker, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all he is, and he writes all this complex music, and then when he goes to play, he just plays like, skid up, get it up, you know what I mean? He's just playing the shit, you know what I mean? That's what I love about him. Like, for instance, man, I love telling this story, man. Like, I was fortunate enough to I played in his band, actually. I'm on his only big band record where he
Tom Harrell Big Band.
Yeah, it's called Times Mirror. Yeah, I played third trumpet on that.
Wow, amazing.
So that was a great experience playing, like rehearsing and playing a few gigs and doing the record day. But another great experience was I used to play on Don Sebesky's band for a minute. I got on a few gigs. So we had a week at
you've been on a lot of gigs.
Whatever.
Don't downplay. You've been
Well,
on a
I'm
lot
just
of
saying
gigs.
I wasn't really on the band, but I did a few runs. So we had a week at Birdland, and a week is like it's Thursday. It's like maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It wasn't like the whole week. Anyways, so we start rehearsing, and this is one thing I used to love about New York. We used to rehearse at Carroll Studios, and you'd have all these bad cats like Frank West. I never, I'm not gonna say Frank Foster. I never played with Frank Foster, but like cats like that, like Dodgin, Lou Tabakin, the heavyweight cats, man. You know what I mean? And these guys would play great solos in the rehearsals, and nobody would ever say anything. Like Frank West would get up there and play his ass off, and he'd just sit down, and everybody'd be like, cool, man. You know what I mean?
There wasn't all this like,
Lynch.
bro.
Like I remember Lynch one time just blowing his ass off, man. Like just wow, man, just greatest trumpet I ever heard. He gets done, nobody says anything, man. Straight ahead, But Tom, one time it was like, I think it was the rehearsal was like even like 10 in the morning, and Sebesky wrote this chart on. What's that
I'm getting
called?
sentimental.
Yeah,
over you.
right. And in E flat, and Tom played like 3 courses of flugelhorn on this, and I could see cats were bumbling. Like I could see, I forgot he was playing saxophone, but I could see cats were starting to like look back a little bit. He gets done playing, man, and cats just like, yeah, Tom, Tom. Like he just like everybody just couldn't, they couldn't hold it in, man. Just like going crazy, man. Like the only cat that I like, and that's Tom, man. That's Tom because when push comes to shove, man, he's just like he's just playing the shit, man. He's
Right.
just, he's playing like
It
Philly
just
Joe.
got everybody.
And
There's
to me,
no-
man, that's what made Freddie Hubbard great too, man. Like, I used to hear Freddie Hubbard, and I realized the core of Freddie Hubbard is just a swinging motherfucker, man.
Right.
Just like, and that's, to me, that's what I heard with Roy Hargrove. Same thing. Just like a swinging, you know what I mean? Like just a swinging cat, man.
Yeah. You got to see Hubs a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
You get to hang with him at all?
a little bit.
What was the vibe?
Immediately when you start talking to him that he's a high level cat. You also realize when you start talking to him that he's probably, he's a little, he's different. Like I wasn't used to his personality. Let's put it that way. you
Right,
know.
right.
But I could definitely understand. Like I talked to him one time. Well, I spent a night with him one time. We were together for like 4 hours in the same car, just me and him. So I talked to him a lot, But and he was cool. He was real cool, But I did a record with him too. I did a record live at Carnegie Hall with Toshiko's Akiyoshi featuring Freddie Hubbard.
Just two trumpets? Just you?
No, it was big band featuring
Oh, I
Freddie
was like,
Hubbard. Yeah, no,
damn.
no. But I mean,
That's
we
killer.
rehearsed, and it was deep, man. To hear him, you just hear him like play
Just hear
in a
that
rehearsal,
sound,
like
like,
over.
next.
Yeah. And he was drunk at the rehearsal, and I wish I just would have had a tape of that, man, because it was just unbelievable music coming out of his flugelhorn that day. It was,
Wow.
Yeah. And actually, that was kind of the time when I started to think, like, maybe I should start drinking a little bit and smoking when I play, man. No, I'm serious. Because it's like, wow, this cat just came in and just swinging, man. He's just loose, man. What the fuck?
Right.
That's the shit, man.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean?
Pinsat.
Hey,
Pinsat
AP.
makes another
There he
guest
is,
appearance
baby.
from the back.
Nags.
Dude, what's happening? We're going to get Pinsat on here one of these days. It's
Yeah,
Michael Wilner.
man. Michael Wilder.
Yeah, I keep asking
That's
him.
a name for
He'll
the
probably
past.
listen to this, so I keep asking him to come on. My
Yeah,
back.
he was there. He was in the beginning
Did
too.
he play in Maynard? Was he in Maynard's band?
Spike?
Yeah.
I think for a minute. No, it was either that or Woody Herman.
Was Joel in Maynard's band? Or was it,
Joel might have been in Maynard's band. Yeah.
you ever hang with Maynard at all?
No, I met him once. I was a big fan, but I heard him play in the '70s actually when he was hot. Like I heard
Everybody
him.
said he was real cool.
Real cool. Yeah, real nice guy. I just said hello to him. Really, I didn't really talk to him or anything, but he seemed like a really nice guy. His vibe was real nice.
I can't imagine a 4-hour car ride with Freddie Hubbard just like
Yeah.
one up. Like, how do you even open up?
Well,
I'm like nervous open up the
Well,
podcast.
I'll
I'm
tell you
like,
the-
so.
the first thing was I had this raggedy car which he didn't like. First
Oh,
thing
so you were driving.
I was driving. Yeah, it's a long story, and I don't. It's kind of funny, but it kind of shines him in a.
No,
It could be a
no,
negative
you don't
light,
gotta
so
do
I don't
that.
want to get into
No,
that,
of
man.
course.
But it was really just funny, man. But anyways, I had my glove compartment didn't close. It kind of opened up. So Freddie gets in the car. He goes, "Oh no, man, I can't have that." So the first thing we did, we went to a drugstore, got some tape and tape.
Are you serious?
And then
Out of all the things that could have
Yeah.
been wrong with it, he's like, man, this glove box, man, I can't.
and then he was kind of like had his what do I say his what he needed. Let's just put it that way. He had what he needed in the car, and he just was talking. I mean, it was almost like it was a gift from God, man. He just started talking about trumpet players. He'd be like, yeah, and Lee Morgan. And then he just started talking about Lee Morgan. Then he started talking about Booker Little. Then he told me about Kenny Dorham. Then he told me about practicing with Train and Sonny. And then basically we were there. We were at the gig.
Right. Which was where?
It was at Quinnipiac College. It was the Quinnipiac College. It wasn't associated with a college. It was just like I was in a house band that they used to bring in artists once a month. So I used to drive up there and do the gig, and Freddie was the artist. So the leader said, "Yeah, we want to take Freddie to the gig." I said, "Man, I'd love to take Freddie to the gig." So that's how it happened. Yeah, and
Where'd you pick him up?
he was staying at that hotel across the street. You know when you play at Dizzy's, that hotel, that building right across the big black one? It's a hotel.
Oh yeah, come in, have a sandwich.
That he was in there.
It's a
AP,
jazz
there he is,
podcast.
baby.
Cats. I want to hear the story.
Yeah. Oh man,
So
Max
he was
has got
staying.
some
He was
amazing-
staying there. Yeah, he was staying.
He's talking
there.
about how Freddie Hubbard got in his car in the glove compartment's like, it doesn't shut. And he's like, nah, baby, I can't have
Nah,
that.
he goes, I
I'm
can't
gonna
have
stop.
that,
I got
man.
some tape,
First
some
thing, man.
tape to that.
First thing, he goes, nah, he goes, I can't have that.
Yeah.
Got come correct.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so, but I know we're jumping around, but when you were talking about hanging out with Buhane all night, is there anything that sticks out? Like any?
Just his positivity. That's all I would say. Like he just talking about like, well, I'm a little guy and I didn't have any money and I said I'm gonna have a band and I have a band. He just kept and he was just like, wow, it's just like, well, wow, man, this cat is like I've never met anybody like this before. Like he's so positive and telling me how he fought through all these things
Right.
to be where he is, and it's just like, wow, it was so inspiring, man. And it's like 3, 4 in the morning, man. Like he's wide awake and.
And he's probably traveled from somewhere else.
Oh yeah, man, and that was part of the vibe. Like we've been, and he kept saying to me and whoever was, I want you guys to come in. I want you to try for the band. I want you to try. 'Cause we had just played a tune in the thing.
What tune did you play there? Play?
Oh, I can't even remember, man. I can't even remember. It was me. I think Jerry Weldon, this cat Keith Fidman, I think was there, and but there was like a jam session. Just it wasn't no big deal. We just playing, and then he played a tune, man. He just came up and played a tune. I forgot. I wish I could tell you what tune we
No,
played.
it's
but
all
it was-
good.
And then after
Maybe
that,
Jerry will remember if I have Jerry on.
yeah,
here.
probably Jerry would remember. Yeah, yeah.
You and Jerry sing
1988.
bebop the same, like when Jerry
I
does
copy him, man.
drum flabam, flash, flash. It's the best, man. We love that shit. That gets us in the vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you ever get to hang with Elvin at all?
No, I met Elvin once, but I never hung with him. I heard him play 3 or 4 times. I just met him once. Also a beautiful vibe, just a really beautiful vibe. Shaking his hand was I'm sure you probably met him.
Man. So, first time I met Alvin, he's playing the Blue Note, and I was coming down those steps, where the dressing room are. There's that little ledge, and he had just finished crushing, dripping with sweat. I was walking up the steps. What do you say? Like, oh, hey, Mr. Jones. So I just like holding my hands and like a pranam, just Alvin. He pointed at me and goes, drummer. I say, yeah. Boom. And he gives me a hug.
Wow.
And it was, I felt my chest compressed. I was like, Elvin's going to break my fucking sternum.
And that's fucking cool with me. Exactly.
Cool with me.
Wow.
Badass. The power.
Yeah.
Drummer.
Damn, that's incredible, man.
He was awkward to watch, man. Right? Oof. It's like, how did he just do that?
What
'Cause
is-
he was a lot of elbows, right? He was like a lot of elbows when he played,
Yeah. And the thing Cannon told me about playing with him is like everybody who tries to imitate Elvin now plays like so loud and hard, and like when you heard him or when you played with him as a bass player, like sometimes unamplified, like everything was clear as day. You could hear everybody. It was powerful, but it was
Yeah, I don't think anybody's really playing like. I think Watts has got some of it because Watts was always like I told you. I used to go hear Art Blakey a lot, and Watts was always there, like Sweet Basil's on Monday nights. Always he was always sitting at the bar, that first or second seat, looking at Art, and then he would play. A lot of times he played a second set.
Art would have him play.
Yeah. Art would split. Just he played a second set.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, cats who, maybe had digested, But I think he digested more Tony, though, too. Like, he was really into Tony, right? Tane, yeah.
It seems like everybody. He's like really.
I'll tell you one thing, though, man. I think Jimmy Cobb had a lot of shit, too, man. Because
Oh man, I mean,
I remember seeing, like, working with Jimmy a few times and realizing that, wow, that's Tony Williams, man. That's like Tony copped a lot of stuff from Jimmy, man. It makes sense. He followed him.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's who he was listening to, right?
yeah.
But you don't realize it sometimes, man. Like, how
Right.
far back it goes, man.
I feel like Jimmy Cobb influenced so
Man.
many.
Yeah.
Jimmy always used to talk about Specs Right. It's like really who he would. I remember being in the car with him and Emmett, and
Really?
whoever, and he'd be like, Specs Right. Yeah.
No kidding.
For brushes or something. Maybe he told Kyle that too. When I was studying with him through New School, he used to just come to my apartment and we'd just play, which was so fucking nerve-wracking.
That's a
happened.
great thing though, man.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Oh man, he was so cool. He lived on 139 on the other side, and I was living with Adam Aruda, who's really good drummer my age. And
Yeah,
just
I know
one day
him.
I woke him up, I was like, man, Cobb's coming. He's like flipped out, like, what? What are you talking? Like, started cleaning the house and making sure the cymbals and everything. So I called Kyle and I said, man, I think Jimmy Cobb's coming over to teach. Kyle was like, phew, like, you can never get a hold of Kyle, and then he's like, right there. But I just remember, I was like, what do I?
So what did he tell you? Like when you start walking with him, did he
He
stop
didn't
you?
say anything at first, and then we played Whims at Chambers, which is one of the first records I ever got, and I realized that I heard where the top started of the tune in the wrong place my whole life. I'd heard it on the other. You know, sometimes you hear things that you think are on the other side of the beat. You know, like, I don't know, Walk In or something like that. You might hear it.
Yeah, right.
So, whatever way it was, I thought it ba-doo-ba-dee-ba-doo-da-da. I thought it like, I think it's a pickup, and I thought it wasn't a pickup. I thought it was on the beat. Whichever way it is. It's either a pickup or it's not, and I heard it. So that was the only time he ever said anything to me. He just said, oh, hold on. It's Paul's tune. That's not right. You know? And I freaked out. I was like melted inside. You know what I mean? I was like, holy shit. Like, how many times did he play this with Paul Chambers, and I'm playing the shit on the not wrong side of the beat, but just 2 bars the other way.
Yeah, that's high. I mean,
And he was just like, no, chill. He's like, so calm. He was just like, ain't nothing to it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, baby.
Right.
And then next time he counted off, I had it right. And that was it. You know what I mean? But he never really said that much to me. I would ask him about stuff when we would. Then I played a couple gigs with his band, and then with Emmett started calling him, and then I did a couple gigs with that band. But he wouldn't say that much, really. I would ask him a lot of questions, though, all the time. Ask him about Sam. Ask him about Paul. You know, he didn't really say much in the trio lessons. He just would play.
But you learned so much just from playing with him.
Absolutely, I recorded everything, and I would study it, and
yeah.
I would sometimes, hey, Mr. Cobb, what do you think? No, baby, just keep playing, keep doing it. Let's do it again next week, next time, whatever. You know.
Well, that's the best way to teach.
Then
man.
I'd hear him with Webbs or David or somebody older than me, and I'd pick up a bunch of stuff and obviously listen to him on the record. Sometimes I remember we were sitting listening to Black Hawk, and he was just started shaking his head like this. And it was me and Kyle Poole and I think Adam, and he's still shaking his head. We're like, "Why are you shaking your head?" He's like, "Oh, nerves, man, nerves. My nerves. I was just."
Yeah. Wow.
Which to us, you know, when he plays those breaks on whatever they were playing, to us it was like the most beautiful, relaxed shit. And to him, he was like talking to himself 40 or 50 years before, like, oh man, my nerves, I should have been.
Yeah,
He also told me that Wynton Kelly was deaf in the ear that faced the bandstand.
Really?
Yeah, it said something Wynton Kelly, we were in Maine, and he was like, oh, you're pretty good for a motherfucker that can only hear out of one ear.
Wow.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you know, his right ear, not the face the bandstand, it was deaf in that ear.
Wow.
And I thought, how's this guy so swinging with one ear that faces?
Moody was like that too.
What'd you say?
Moody was like that too.
Really?
Moody was definitely.
You played with Cobb a lot, right?
Not a lot. I went to Europe with him. We went to Russia actually, and we did one gig in Europe, and I played with him in New York maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 times.
Yeah.
He didn't use trumpet a lot. He used Wallace sometimes.
Huh. Oh, for
Yeah.
the kind of miles.
Yeah. But
Right.
but I did some things with him. You know, I did a thing with Wallace once actually. Me and Wallace together.
With Jimmy.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, with Smoke, we did 4 nights actually. That was a lot of fun, man.
Do you ever do the drum battle gig?
No, which was that?
Kenny and Farnsworth?
No, I never
Or,
did that. No,
I should say
no.
Mr. Washington and Mr. Farnsworth. I'm too young to.
Come
I
on.
gotta be nice, man. People are listening to the podcast. I
Oh,
gotta be
okay.
respectful.
Well, I guess they're a lot older than you. Yeah.
I mean, that's when I saw that at Smoke, man, that was some of the baddest.
That's a good battle.
That
man.
was a prize
That's a good
fight
battle,
right
man.
there, man.
Yeah, it's a good battle.
Just
yeah.
when you thought one was up, the other one was like. Then you're like,
You know-
oh, Kenny's got him with the brushes, and then the set break song come, Joe busts out some Philly stuff on the blue. It was just so beautiful.
Yeah. I'll tell you another great drummer I worked with was Alvin Queen.
Oh wow,
He's a great drummer, man.
Switzerland.
Talking about like cats who play like Alvin. That cat plays like I'm sure he told me he sat in with Train when he was 12. Elvin said, the kid's got to learn someday. So Elvin had him sit in because he was like Elvin's protege. Like he followed Elvin around when he was like 10 years old. I guess Elvin kind of adopted him or something. And he plays a lot like Elvin. I mean, you really can, it's great drummer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Queen.
He lives in Switzerland, right?
Yeah, Bern. Not Bern. No, excuse me, Geneva.
No, but he plays at Marion's a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was.
I was over in Bern for a little bit.
He's like the house drummer there for a while.
Yeah.
But actually, he was up in Copenhagen. He was playing up there for a couple of years in some hotel.
Is he in his
But
70s now, maybe?
Yeah, early 70s or a little middle 70s maybe. Yeah.
And the bass player that lives in Bern,
Yeah, what was that cat's name?
he told
good,
me
man.
about playing in Train's band a bunch of times.
What's his name?
Reggie
Johnson.
Johnson?
Reggie Johnson. Yeah, he's a good
He
cat.
said
man.
Jimmy Garrison just call him up and be like, I can't do Night at Birdland. Just go down there.
No kidding.
Nobody would say anything. They just start,
He's a good bass player, man.
Yeah, I love him on that Steve Grossman record with Barry and Art Taylor.
Oh yeah, I don't know that.
It's just all bop stuff. You play with Grossman at all? Like
No, I heard him play live a few times, but I never played with him. No.
somebody told me that Charles Ruggiero's dad sat in with Train a couple times. Vinny Ruggiero.
I would believe it. Yeah, I would believe it.
How far is Syracuse from?
Hour and a half.
Rochester?
But they, the musicians up there are all together.
That's what Mike Boone was talking to me about because he went to Eastman and the.
Yeah. Like the good cats in Syracuse know the good cats in Rochester. Maybe Buffalo might be a little bit of a part, but those Syracuse and Rochester are close. Cats play together. Utica too. That's like a, because Jr. lived in Utica, Sal lived in Utica, and like in Rochester had Joe Romano,
Yes.
Bill Dobbins, and
These are all guys that Mike Boone was talking to me about.
yeah,
He was at
good
Eastman
good
for
players,
classical.
man. Bill Dobbins, piano player.
Now he was talking to me
Yes.
about Buddy's band with Barry.
Barry
Kiner.
Kiner. Great.
Is he an upstate cat too?
He was, yeah.
Or was I'm sorry.
He
Yeah.
died of early. Or he died in his early 30s, maybe. Great piano
They
player.
said he
man.
was just
great.
amazing.
Yeah. Actually, Gisbert knows all about that. He was there. He died on Buddy Rich's band.
Well, that's what Boone was in the band.
Yeah, and Giz was there. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know Giz and Mike Boone were in the band together.
Giz sat across from him on the bus.
That's dark, man.
Yeah.
Just another time.
Yeah. It was another time. Yeah.
I mean, not that I would know. I wasn't there, but I was a glimmer in my father's eye. I'd say.
I remember Buddy Rich's band. We used to see them all the time, man. They used to come through Syracuse. They were on the road all the time. They used to play in like bowling alleys and stuff. I remember I once saw them once in a bowling alley. They're playing in the in the
Just ripping Channel 1 suite.
yeah, exactly, man. Marcus up there just blowing like 10-minute solos.
Another guy with long hair that played Rhodes on some of those videos. He's killing.
I don't know. I never played in Buddy's band. I tried out. I mean, I sent a tape once, but I didn't get the call. I'm glad.
He sent you the tapes back.
Yeah,
Where he's like, "Try me, motherfucker." What does he say? He's like, I'll show you. I forget what he said.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I would have loved to. I did work with the band after he passed away because they had another year and a half of commitments. So Smitty Smith came on, and I guess they needed a trumpet player. I was in the band. I did Smitty Smith.
Wow.
Yeah, we did. That was a long tour, actually, man. It was a couple weeks or 3 weeks, and then I did another one with Dave Weckl, and then I did that record. All the 20 drummers that played his music for Atlantic Records.
No,
All these Vinnie Colaiuta. I was with Weckl and the guy from Guns N' Roses. I did a couple tunes with him.
What?
And I did a couple other drummers. Yeah.
Damn.
It was a big project, man. It was like a big thing. Like it's Burning for Buddy. It's called.
Burning for Buddy.
It's a 2-record, 2 CD thing. It's like all the drummers in that time who had a name. Max Roach, Buddy. I can't think of it. Morell. No.
Joe Morello?
Joe Morello. Yeah, Joe Morello.
It's Take 5, right?
Yeah.
It's Brubeck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
Cats like that.
I could do like 6 podcasts with you, man. You have so many stories. I feel like we briefly touched on every era of Joe Maggs.
Yeah, I was around. That's all. I was one of those. It's kind of like my basketball career. Same thing. I wasn't a star. I just was around.
Oh, that's bullshit, man.
No, I'm serious.
Come on, man. So I guess I'll wrap it up with this. Like, what What trumpet players that are younger than you do you enjoy listening to now? Because whether you admit it or not, you're saying, no, you were really influential on, I know, at least in Philly,
Well,
for a lot of trumpet players, man. Super influential.
I mean, I know a lot of young cats who I think can really play. You know, the ones that I think stand out, who are younger than me.
Yeah.
Let's say younger than 50, because cats in the 50s are kind of my age.
Yeah.
Okay, younger than me. Of course, Ryan Kaiser, first and foremost. Mike Rodriguez,
Yeah.
Freddie Hendrix, and of course Jeremy Pelt, Josh Evans. Like Josh Evans a lot.
Yeah.
Now I met Josh Evans when he was 15 years old.
Wow.
And he'll tell you this, man. I told him, I said, you asked me something. I said, bro, you got it. No, I did. He can't, he wanted to ask me that. He's trying to ask me. I said, bro, you got it, man. That's it. You don't ask me nothing.
Yeah.
I'll see you in the scene someday, and and he remembers that.
Lo and behold.
And I like Mike Rodriguez a lot, of course. I know I'm missing cats, but
Yeah.
I like even younger. I like Benny. Benny Benack, and I think he's super talented. He's singing. I really like that, man.
Yeah. It's my man. I'll be here tomorrow.
Right, you're right. No, I like him. Am I missing? I mean, yes. I mean, there's a lot of great cats, but those. I mean, the cats I saw in the. Actually, I love Keon Harrell, man.
Yeah, Keon's bad, man.
Yeah, I really admire Keon Harrell, man. I don't know much about some of the other cats. I like Marquise Hill. I just started getting hip to him.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of his playing, but he sounds real good.
Yeah.
So
he's got a beautiful sound.
Oh, of course, Nick Payton, man. He's a lot younger than me, man. So yeah, Nick Payton. I mean, come on, man. Roy.
There you go.
Roy's kind of we're almost the same, in a way, but yeah, but like I would say those cats, man.
That's great that you're like keeping an ear to the ground,
Yeah, no, I mean, I love listening.
I feel like I always would see you checking people out too, like coming out smalls just to hear people.
Yeah, to be honest, man, I feel bad now because this whole thing happened, the pandemic and all that. But I got to the point maybe 10, like I tell you, like when my steady gig stopped at Smalls, which was 40, I was 49, or 2009, 2010, I think Spike had enough of me for a while as a steady gig, because I had a steady gig there since '94. You know what I mean? So I was like,
Right.
So, I don't know. When I had a night off, I kind of didn't go out that much anymore. I was, let's say I averaged 4 to 5 nights a week. Maybe I might just stay home them other nights, man. So I didn't go out as much as I could have, but I did hear a lot of cats. I would go out and hear. When I was younger, though, I used to go out all the time, man. Like if Freddie was playing in town, I was there. Tom Harrell, I was, I still go see Tom Harrell. I try to pay my respects. I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but
Yeah.
I pay my definitely because I've learned so much from that cat, man. Still learning every time I hear him.
Right. That's amazing, man. Well, thanks so much for.
Oh man, I'm honored that you'd want to actually talk to me.
We're gonna get you back. We're gonna get Pinsy in here. Pinsy made an off mic appearance today, so.
Pinsy's a heavy cat, man.
He said hi.
I brought some. I'm gonna contribute right now too.
The collection, the collection pot.
Yeah.
Mags, thank you so much, man.
Man, it was my pleasure, bro.
Man, thanks.